So tonight is the charity film premiere of Heroes, written and produced and directed by Manish Pandey. Now, it's a story that has been told by four voices about five racing legends, all about one journey. So, Manish, you have quite a few job titles on this movie. Director, producer, writer. Huge responsibility. What can we expect?
I hope emotion. I think that's a key word. And also a lot of humanity, because I think that, I said this years ago, sometimes people perceive motor racing as a bunch of cars going round and round in circles or oblongs or whatever they do. And when you meet these people, what you'll realise is that they are humans. They really are humans. And then they're superhumans. And it's this sort of really strange thing. You know, you have this super skill, but you still brush your teeth and you still go to bed and you still pack your clothes. And in fact, one of the ways that we tried to design the film was that you meet them as human beings before you ever meet them as great racing drivers. So when they actually arrive at this stately home that they go and stay in for a day and a night, I asked them to do what all drivers do every 2 weeks throughout their whole careers. Just go into the bedroom and do your key thing. And it's so funny. So Tom, he brushes his teeth and he always opens a window and sticks his head out. Michelle, she puts her makeup in her thing, looks at herself, does her hair. It sounds crazy, and takes her laptop out. Felipe always checks the bed, which is quite funny. And Mika, you know, he likes to come across as this kind of, I'm so laid back and you should see how he packs his suitcase. You know, the movie's about beginnings, high points, low points, you know, the end. You feel you've gone on one journey. And of course, the person they all have in common, to some extent, is Michael. And he's someone that what we can do is reflect on his character through the eyes of these people, and again, through the archive, I hope, in a slightly unique way, because I have a very different take on his career, I think, to the stuff you used to read in Autosport, I guess, back in the 90s.
And you've picked four stars, all from different disciplines in motorsport. Why did you pick them?
I really wanted to find somebody in world endurance who could say, I am number one. I wanted to find the best woman who's ever driven a car. I think we did. I think with Felipe, I wanted to find somebody who came the closest to gold, and it just got taken away. I mean, and I wanted to find Michael's greatest rival. So we were just lucky. They said yes, you know, and it was funny because I did a lot of research, and Mika's career I lived through, obviously, same with Felipe. I knew very little about rallying in the early 80s. I mean, you know, Michelle, but she is every bit the measure for anyone that she was driving in at the time. And actually, you know, had she gone into Formula One 10 years, you know, in her 20s now, she'd have caned her. I mean, totally.
You could say this is a kind of a love letter to motorsport. It's a film that reminds us all why we fell in love with motor racing in the first place. You know, it's the most enormous challenge. These people put themselves through things that most rational and normal people wouldn't do. The highs, the lows, the twists of fate that can make or break a career. Those are all things that really tell the human side of motor racing, and this is an intensely human film, as Felipe Massa sums up very nicely in the movie. So I think we just wanted to try and capture that in a documentary film, and who better to do it than the master storyteller Manish Pandey. I mean, everybody loved Senna. No one tells a story better in our world than him, so he was the right guy to work with.
I'm sure I'm really looking forward, but I'm sure it will be fantastic to watch, and I think everybody will be really surprised, you know, for so many different stories, for so many different points in terms of racing, competition, amazing competition, but also accidents, but also so many things that it happens, you know, in all the different careers, especially, I mean, from myself, especially from Mika Hakkinen, from Michele Mouton, which I think is, you know, is amazing to hear everything that she passed through, you know, and Tom Kristensen that has like, you know, amazing race, amazing career as well. So I think, you know, I'm really happy to be part of it. And this guy here, just next to me, Manish, he's just amazing. He's so nice to work with him, and I'm sure we're gonna be all shock, you know, in the good way when we watch all together.
Have you been part of something like this before?
No, it's the first time. So for sure, I'm still thinking, to do like the whole idea, the whole like. I was thinking at the beginning maybe a book, but maybe movie or a documentary, something about my career is also something that made I looking forward.
Absolutely. And obviously you spent quite a lot of time with the racing legends from different motorsport disciplines. Did it kind of make you feel inspired that, I quite like the sound of what they were getting up to. Maybe I should have given it a try and, being in a rally championship or gone for sports cars?
For sure. If you see, all the different, types of racing in cars, is always... You always think, maybe I'm supposed to go and race in the rally, or maybe, in Le Mans, maybe in different categories. But I think we cannot forget Michael. He's totally inside, the movie, and I have also a very close relationship for the end of his career. When we were teammates, but also for everything that happens after. We cannot forget that it will be really interesting to see everything that happens also to him, and that he's totally inside the movie.
So Mika, tell us how you first got involved in being part of this movie. How did Manish approach you, and what were your first thoughts?
Well, I'm the brand ambassador for McLaren, and through the McLaren I was approached that if I would be interested, if I would like to do it, and obviously when I heard who's going to do it and people who are going to be involved and in a film, I said, yeah, this is going to be a good team, and also of course the people who are in a movie, they have great experiences from the racing, from the life. So I thought this has to be good. This is going to be good, and of course, director, has a great. Manish has a great experience and been doing great things in the past. So I was confident this is going to be a good fun.
And what was it like sitting around a table for hours on end with Tom Kristensen, Michele Mouton, Felipe Massa, regaling your stories of the past?
Well, it's not so easy. It's not so easy because you don't really spend with these people. You don't see them every day. So suddenly, when you sit around the table and start sipping a coffee and start telling about your life story or your experiences, it's not so. Or maybe it's because I'm from Finland, so it's not so. You don't open your heart and say, "Oh my God, this is it how I feel." We are.
But you did it for the movie.
Yeah. So I need to make an effort, and but it felt good. It felt nice, and after a while, you relax and it's not about you talking about yourself. It's more. It was fascinating to hear their story about the experiences of motor racing life and how they see themselves today and how they felt in the past. So it was very interesting.
And obviously Michael Schumacher plays a big role in this movie as well. Do you think that was an important story to tell? And, how involved were you in that story?
It's not so easy to talk about him because, like I said, the situation where he is. But I had some great racing experiences with him. Felipe Massa had great racing experiences with him. So there is, in a movie we will see some, I'm sure some inside, let's call it this way, stories what has not been heard before, and stuff like that.
How are you feeling about watching the film for the very first time?
It's very emotional because you have been telling your story, but now you know what he has been doing with this element. So I am very excited first, and I have to say that it was a great moment also to share this time with the other drivers, and to work with Manish was fantastic. really great.
I mean, it's quite unusual, isn't it, that you get to basically sit round a table and chat for hours and hours and hours, sharing your stories. I mean, you must have learnt so much in that time.
Yes, and in the same time, it makes you feel relaxed and comfortable. You know, it's not like an interview where you have a little bit of pressure. So it was really relaxed, and I hope we have been quite natural and, telling what happened to us.
I'm sure. Was there anything special that you learnt that you can share with us during your discussions?
No, I think yes, it was interesting because you think you know everyone, but at least you don't know, all the background and all the stories, and so it was very interesting and very emotional to listen to the others also.
Have you ever featured in a movie like this before?
No, not in a movie. I mean, a documentary around Le Mans, different years, but then sort of solely involving Le Mans or in itself. This one was very interesting because I kind of know the other persons also a bit privately, but not much. But also as competitors. So in that sense, it was quite nice to spend 24 hours in I think you call it a stately home. I would call it a castle here somewhere in England, and that was lovely. 24 hours of it turned out it went very fast, and suddenly Manish and the crew said, "We have what we need. We are looking forward to work with it." And now I think what has passed, not a year, but something like certainly 6 or 8 months have passed where they then have been working with it. So I look forward to see it.
So to spend that much time, with the other drivers around the table just talking, I mean, it must have been incredible. The stories that everyone shared, did it shed some light that you were unaware of before?
Yes, it did. I mean, it was very nice to spend time. Also, we had Michele there, obviously as a woman, but also representing rally. And at a time when we were so focused in terms of getting out of karting, going into Formula 3, getting further on. So it shed a light on things. And the thing is that I'm saying we're always honest, but sometimes you're more honest than other times. And you get more honest when you get a little bit of, let's say, just by growing up, just by having been experienced in your sport. And actually for us, like for Mika and myself and Michele being retired, this I think also I put some nice both feelings, but also putting it into words. And I hope that Manish has discovered that and being able to put that into the documentary.
Are you nervous at all about featuring in your own movie? You're about to go and watch yourself on a massive screen with lots of people here?
No, I'm not nervous. I look forward. My family, I told them I will say a couple of bits. I'm featuring in cars in Scandinavia where I sort of subdue the what do you call it? Put the voice to the king, to the king in that movie, and said it's something like that. I will have a couple of lines dubbing here. So I hope they will get happily surprised. I know that Manish is nervous, and I like that. And he has worked very, very hard, and I hope we can all have a good evening and hopefully celebrate a good movie and for the very first screening.
But this one is slightly different. Obviously, Manish Pandey has written it, produced it and directed it. And we've got 4 voices, the 4 drivers telling the story of 5 drivers. How do you think the story of Michael Schumacher can be told in such a way?
I think it's been told a million times every time there's a race. So people make their own ideas of what the story should be about them.
Yeah.
So I suppose it would be very interesting to see how it's going to come out now.
You obviously had you knew him pretty well. How would you describe him as a driver? And in terms of, there are so many stories in motorsport, it's very difficult. I know Manish was saying it's very difficult to get all of these stories down into an hour and a half. Oh, speak of the devil. I was just saying you can join. I was saying how hard you found it to edit all these stories down into an hour and a half. But I was going to ask Bernie to pick a story, and we'll test to see if it's made it into the film. If there was one that had to make it into the movie, what?
Michael, Mika, or Felipe, which one would you? What story do you remember?
Well, we've got lots of stories about all of them, so there's nothing in particular that you'd say. Give me an idea. and I'll tell you whether I think
Probably
it's
the most
true.
heartbreaking moment in Formula One history in Brazil.
Yeah, with
Felipe.
Sure.
Oh, that just...
Well, he won the race.
He won the race. That's what he said. It's a
Simple.
beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, he's won the race.
But it breaks your heart. That's when the film becomes a weepy, when you realise it's not just about winning.
Yeah.
Most of it's not about winning. Most people don't win.
There's only one winner.
There's only one winner.
That's what people don't understand. There is only one winner
And the rest of us...
per race. I mean.
Yeah.
You know them all well, obviously Michael Schumacher in particular you had a great relationship with. So are you looking forward to being able to see him on screen and relive some of those great moments?
I would say I know three particularly well, Michele Mouton, Felipe Massa and of course Michael. The other I do admire them but I don't know them as well. And but clearly very very happy to be here and I mean to see it's also an opportunity to see my old friend Bernie, to speak about our Brain and Spinal Cord Institute in Paris, where incidentally Bernie always said that he will be a generous donator. He had not yet done anything, so maybe it's coming after tonight. So I think great opportunities to be together.
Do you have an answer to that?
No.
Not yet.
And when it comes to motor racing, the drivers are the stars, you understand.
It's going in the racing, so you change chapter. Huh?
Of course. That's what it's all about. But it is about drivers. That's what people connect to. Obviously, you understand what it takes for the drivers to see, and that's what this film is all about. They are the heroes, aren't they?
Of course, but you know, I mean, a hero. They're at the heart of the game, but the big specificity of motor racing. You know, it's not like being an athlete, being a football player, a tennis player. You have the man, the team, and the machine, the man or the woman. But clearly, it's combination. And we know very well that in this sport, if all is not combined, you don't have success.
And obviously, you're someone who spends a huge amount of time for both motorsport and mobility. You're all about the future and working towards that. But you do have the chance now in watching this movie to spend a couple of hours looking back at the past, something you probably don't get to do too often. Do you enjoy being able to look back at those great days and the great drivers and just almost enjoy it as a fan, shall we say?
Of course I do, but you know, in my... I have one office in the headquarters in Geneva of the FIA and one other one in the headquarters of the FIA in Paris. And on the wall I have some images from where my passion for motorsport came, and then the different periods of this chapter. So I always have one eye in the back and one eye in the front.